Kia ora koutou, I'm Julia Grace, and I'm here today to remind you that even under these incredibly unusual circumstances, it's still really important to be kind to your mind. You might be feeling a little bit like this guy. You just want to run away and hide, you're sick of it all, and you don't know where to put yourself. Or maybe you're feeling a little bit like this guy. Deer in the headlights, can't think what to say, stuck for words, and your emotions feel quite frozen. Maybe you're finding yourself feeling a little bit snappy. You know what? All of those reactions are normal. They are all perfectly acceptable in the pressure that we're under. All of those responses are simply our brains telling us that it's okay and trying to keep us alive. You know, learning to be kind to our minds can be challenging, and dealing with people in amongst that can be even more difficult. A few years ago, I was at school and a little kid came up to me. I was in the playground and he came up to me, he was like, "Miss," he was crying and sad. He goes, "Thomas threw a rock at my head." And I was like, "Oh, buddy, it just breaks your heart and you've got to go and do something about it." And I said, "Oh, darling, where did Thomas find the rock?" He said he found it in the friendship garden. But the story actually gets even worse. As I went along trying to sort of not smile and giggle to myself, he took me to a small area of the school where they'd created a beautiful little garden. And in that garden there was a wooden seat. And the whole concept of the friendship garden was that if you need someone to be with you in that time, you go and sit on that seat and somebody should come around and be your friend. So he had sat down on this seat, and instead of getting a friend, it had a rock thrown at his head. Now, I know you probably won't believe this, but it actually gets even worse. We found the rock that had been hurled at his head, and it was one of those little stones, I don't know if you've seen them, but where people hand paint a message onto a rock, and the rock literally said, "Be kind to others." And that, my friends, is called friendly fire. People can be challenging. One of the best indicators and the best motivators towards good, strong, positive mental health, no matter where you sit on the wellness spectrum, is actually having good boundaries. And one of the ways that we can have good boundaries during this time is actually to take time out for ourselves. Now, I can hear you saying it already. That's all right for you. It's difficult for me. Wherever you are, this is about fitting it into your world, whether you're dealing with little children, or you're working from home, or you're caring for your aging parents. We're all in different situations. So this is not a one-size-fits-all prescription, but it is an encouragement to you that actually caring for ourselves, self-care, is so important. And today I actually want to give you permission to do that. Now, immediately for me, this brings up feelings of like, oh my gosh, this is just so selfish. You know, I'm supposed to be out there looking after everybody else. I was brought up with a very strong, very conservative view about caring for others. We used to sing a little song in Sunday school called J-O-Y. I don't know if any of you heard this before, but it goes like this: J-O-Y, J-O-Y, this must surely be Jesus first and yourself last and others in between. And we sang this over and over. The inference being that obviously, our faith was really important there, and Jesus came first, and that everybody else was in the middle, and then I was right down there at the bottom. I was the bottom of the pecking order, at the bottom of the pile. And actually, there's some huge theological problems with that. I want to remind you of a wonderful scripture in Mark 12 verse 31, where Jesus said himself, "Love your neighbour as yourself." It took a long time for me to come to the realization that yourself last and others in between was wrong, simply because I am also one of the others. You are one of the others. We are all made in the image of God, image bearers, and actually we are all incredibly valuable. If we have no parameters around self-care, how can we show care to others? If we have not created a structure of what it looks like to look after ourselves, how can we truly encourage others to do the same? If you've got children in your world, if you're an auntie or an uncle or a friend or a mum, can I encourage you that one of the most powerful things you can do in caring for them is demonstrate a strong level of self-care and good, positive boundaries, just doing the frozen deer in the headlights reaction to what's going on and opting out of any conversation. This is not even about doing what we all want to do it sometimes, which is tucking ourselves away. This is having brave conversations, stepping out of our comfort zones and saying, my darlings, I love you, but I need some time for myself. So today I want to encourage you to get creative with your self-care. How can you find a little bit of time for yourself? We're running a small series here, so I'm going to do 2 more messages over the next couple of weeks to encourage you that being kind to your mind doesn't mean that you're being unkind to others. What you are doing is demonstrating self-care so that those people in your world will feel permission to go and find that for themselves. Because if there's one thing you can bring to the people in your world, that is a strong and mentally healthy you.